You're watching Channel 57, WGMA, Pope Lick, Arkansas. Up next on Channel 57, it's Big Questions with the Dead Milkmen. Then stay tuned for Farm Report.
Big Questions with the Dead Milkmen. Each week while working on the new album, the Dead Milkmen ask each other a question. Hello, hi, loyal viewers. This week we're going to be revisiting the Rock and Roll Hall of What the Fuck, which we have not visited, I think, since July. And if you don't know what the Rock and Roll Hall of What the Fuck is, go back and watch the July episode. And if you do, then you'll understand that I ended up with this week's episode, and I love Halloween, and I didn't know what else to do. So if you saw July's episode, you might remember that we lightly touched upon Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park. And I said, if we ever do another one of these, I will talk about Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park. And I am a man of my word. So I'm going to tell you all about it, whether you want to hear about it or not. And you probably don't. All right. So for availability, I just want to point this out before we start. Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park is somewhere between Jerry Lewis's The Day the Clown Cried and the Star Wars Holiday Special. As for whether or not you're going to wind up ever seeing it, raise your hand now, okay, if you have seen Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park.
I've only seen parts of it.
Okay, Joe's seen. All right, let me just hold on a minute. I want to count. This counts for you people at home. Raise your hands.
Oh, did you
Matt
get that
Jill,
person over there?
Yeah, some people have seen it. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I think maybe Stephen and Donna. I can't tell, but anyway,
Right in the back. Yep.
Definitely Matt and Joe have seen it. So, okay, keep your hand up if you saw it when it originally aired. Okay, that's half the band. All right, so for Dean and Dan, for our rhythm section, who I'm kind of glad I've never seen this, you may be wondering, when did it originally air? It originally aired on October 28th, 1978. This is we're recording this on the 43rd anniversary of the airing of Kiss Meets the Phantom. Ooh, now, just a quick thing. Kiss had made their TV debut 2 years earlier on the Paul Lynde Halloween special. If you've never seen that, there are hundreds of videos out on the web about the Paul Lynde Halloween special, commentary on it. It's so bad, it's wonderful. And Kiss were on there, and Paul was like, "Oh, my dream day, 4 kisses on one date." Oh man. And I used to tell people that Anton LaVey, not you, the other Anton LaVey, that Anton LaVey was a consultant on Kiss Meets the Phantom on Paul Lynde Halloween special. All right, so I went into this. I was like 15 years old. I went into it, and I was like kind of a Kiss fan. I was kind of getting out of it. I did not leave this as a Kiss fan. I was not a Kiss fan when this thing ended. I did, however, come out of this with a new favorite Kiss song, and I will tell you a little bit about that later. Now, I'm not going to do with Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park what Joe did with the Sgt. Pepper film. I'm not going to give you a minute-by-minute account of everything that happened. I'm just going to give you a quick synopsis. Oh, by the way, if you remember, the reason we got on this was because Kiss were supposed to be in the Sgt. Pepper film, but they bailed out of that so they could make this steaming pile of wonderful. So this begins with Kiss, and they're playing 2 shows a day at an amusement park. So we're already in Puppet Show and Spinal Tap territory. And everybody's just so thrilled that Kiss are going to be there. Everybody, except for the official amusement park scientist. And his name is Abner Devereaux, as in, are we not men? We are Devereaux. Are we not men? Abner Devereaux. I told you that.
Do amusement parks,
what?
do amusement parks normally have like,
I don't know. I've never seen an ad like on Career Day. I've never seen a booth for amusement park scientist. But he's a damn good scientist, and he's pissed off. He's like super smart because he's saying, why are we taking money out of the budget to have Kiss play the park and put up all these big cardboard, Kiss 2 shows a day signs? when we could be working on my androids. And that makes sense. Which do you think would generate more income? Take a minute to think about it. And this should be a question on Squawk Box. All right. Kiss concerts or sex robots? Yeah, I'm going to go with the sex robots. So I just want to point out Abner Devereaux is played, and I mean, he is played perfectly by the actor Anthony Zerbe. Anthony Zerbe was like that go-to 70s villain. He was like passive aggressive. He was always like saying stuff that could be interpreted as nice, like maybe we should arrange for a very special permanent vacation for Mr. Barnaby Jones. So he is like, he's the best part of this. He is hands down, like so many kids left the Kiss army and joined the Anthony Zerbe army. And if you're still not quite sure who he was, if you ever saw the film with Charlton Heston called Omega Man, he played Matthias. But he also played Colt Hay's mother on 90 Day Fiance. So he's very, very versatile actor. And I'm going to give you, here's his acting tip. There's a little more about Anthony Zerbe in this than you might expect. This is his acting tip for why he was so good as playing a villain. And let me just track it down. It says, okay, here we go. Every villain has a mother. For every cold-blooded killer on screen, there's a little old lady somewhere who calls him Sonny. So for you budding actors out there, like I know the next time I get offered a villain role, I'm going to remember that. So that is why, and he's just fantastic in this. So what happens is remember now, he's mad about Kiss and the budgetary stuff. So he puts on his Devo energy dome and he decides he's going to get them by building robots, androids that look like Kiss, and then having them battle Kiss. And what he does is he does that. They manage to go out and kidnap Kiss. So he has Kiss in a cage. And then he's able to steal their box of magic talismans. I should point out right now, in this universe, Kiss have magic powers. And not just the ability to rock and roll all night and party every day, or to piss off Terry Gross. No, they can shoot laser beams out of their eyes. They can tell them all that shit Coldplay tried to say they could do, Kiss can do in this world, in this universe. So what happens is he kidnaps them and he sends them out, he sends out the robotic Kiss, but Kiss, they manage to work together and teleport up their box of talismans. And for some reason, Abner Devereaux is out where they can see it. And so now using those, they can free themselves and they appear on stage. And they do this right after Robotic Kiss performs the greatest Kiss song of all time. It's called Rip and Destroy. And it goes, rip, rip, rip and destroy. You know the hour's getting late. It's just amazing. It's like the beginning of Aggro Tech. It is so good. And keep in mind, this TV show aired 2 days before Mischief Night. So when me and my friends were out there like smashing pumpkins and throwing eggs and everything, we're saying, rip, rip, rip and destroy. That song probably caused like billions of dollars worth of damage. So anyway, Kiss defeat their robotic doppelgangers. And then they go down to where Abner Devereaux is, because now he's defeated. And he's sitting there and his hair is all white and he's got like this 1,000-yard stare. And that's probably what Kiss fans look like after they saw this like episode of the $6 Million Man that got passed on. I mean, it's not great. But we do need to quickly just talk about Ace Frehley in this. Because pretty much all Ace Frehley ever says during this, other than "Hello, Curly," is "ack." And that's because the writers of this spent time with each member of Kiss to learn a little bit about them. And all Ace Frehley said in real life was "ack." So then Ace Frehley got upset because he was just saying "ack" on set. So he decided, well, I'm out of here. I'm going to leave. So he walked off the set. So a lot of his parts on screen were played by his stunt double, a gentleman by the name of Alan O'Linney. And just want to point, Alan O'Linney is an African-American. I mean, so all of a sudden, Ace has got some color in his family tree. You're like, that Ace, and people say, is it obvious?
Makeup on the whole time?
Yeah, this is a full-on makeup, right?
Well, technically, he is in whiteface, which brings up a whole nother thing. He does have the full-on makeup on, but we'll show a picture. You can tell. All right, let's put it this way. let's say you paid to see Edgar Winter and Wesley Snipes came out on stage. Pretty much that obvious. I'd forgotten about it until a few years back. My friend, the late Jay Medley, who was a brilliant guitarist and just one of the best musicians in Philadelphia, his cousin, used to play bass for David Bowie live, and just a great musician. He was in a band called Betty Whitetrash, and for Halloween, they dressed up as Kiss, and he was Ace Frehley. He's like, I'm only the second African-American to portray Ace Frehley. I was like, I forgot about the Halloween special. Like, that's how obvious, like, 15-year-olds spotted it. So, yeah, so that is the story on Stunt Double. Now, because of this, Ace and Peter decided they were going to leave the group. And then, like, shortly after that, Kiss decided that they weren't going to perform anymore with their frightening makeup on, which is something I wish Kid Rock would decide to do. And so, like, this was an embarrassment for Kiss. Like, you could not work for Kiss. And I actually did meet somebody once who worked for Gene Simmons. You couldn't talk about this. They would fire you on the spot for talking about Kiss Meets the Phantom. But as years went by, they mellowed on it and learned to accept it. And so they eventually did one of those cool new Scooby-Doo movies, the animated ones, and it was Scooby-Doo and Kiss, and I think it was like the Great Rock and Roll Mystery, and it is really good. So I'm glad that they liked it because I love this. I love every frame of Kiss Meets the Phantom. It was sold to them as Star Wars meets A Hard Day's Night. Now, if you were to say to me, hey, you want to watch Star Wars? Want to watch A Hard Day's Night? No. Want to watch Kiss Meets the Phantom? Oh, hell yes. Okay,
so a negative times the negative equals a positive.
Yeah, it is. Well, if you get a chance to ever see it, you must see it. And particularly keep an eye out for, what was his name? Alan Oleni? Yeah, Ace's African-American stunt double.
Is it floating out there on the web? Can you find it streaming somewhere?
You can't. It's really hard to find on the web because Kiss are very, very good at keeping a hold of their intellectual, I'm using the term intellectual property in as broad as possible. Like, you would think that like the Anthony Zerbe Museum would have it, or Zerbe.
You know what? I guess they set that bar pretty low for their fans after that, so they got away with pretty much anything. You know, they remember we were talking before about how they're selling air guitar strings.
Well, they were selling Kiss coffins because Dimebag Darrell's buried in a Kiss coffin. I actually have so much respect for them because, you know, I know we bust on Bob Dylan on every episode, but you can't imagine Bob Dylan meets the Phantom of the Park. Like, the Phantom of the Park would just get away. Like, yeah, I'm gonna get around to stopping him any day now. Yeah, Billy Joel. No. None of these people could stop the Phantom of. You know, that's why I have hope for the future from Billie Eilish. I think she could stop the Phantom of the Park. But I'm just saying right now, most rock stars from the 70s only Kiss, and I believe that this is the way a band, like, if I'd been in Kiss, I would have had that makeup permanently tattooed on. When I go see a show, I want to see somebody who looks like that's why I didn't like grunge. I don't want to see the guy who works at the counter, behind Federal Donuts, fronting a band or whatever it looks like. I want to see somebody that looks like they just landed in a spaceship front a band, somebody who actually put in the effort. And Kiss, well, they don't really put in the effort acting and all this, but they showed up.
You know what? I think Lemmy probably could have taken care of the Phantom of the Park.
It would have been better. People in the comments section, please put bands that you would like to see, like The Damned versus the Phantom of the Park. But yeah, just put in any band that you want to see, like Ludotech. Ludotech would be perfect for versus the Phantom of the Park. It was one guy, but still, he could probably take him. So yeah. So and again. Much love to Anthony Zerbe, who's still out there, still acting, still kicking ass. Thank you.
Staff of WME-TV, you and your family a safe and happy
The old ones will rise.
I saw that Phantom show.
Were you a Kiss fan growing up?
I sort of liked them. I like the rock and roll all night party every day.
I thought it was part of every day.
I thought it was part of every day too. But
yeah, Joe actually thought it was part of every day. And I had all day long. Ben and we've had "I Was Made for Loving You, Baby. You Were Made for Love."
My younger brother actually liked them more. He had the albums.
He did?
My younger brother.
Oh, okay. Well, let's fire you and hire him.
And so we watched it. Yeah, I remember seeing that. But yeah, I decided to go with the story of what some people say is the worst rock festival ever to happen in the world. And it may even be worse than the Fire Festival, which is more recent. But this happened in 1972. And it was, the promoters wanted to have like a Woodstock type festival. Woodstock happened in 69. There were two promoters from Indiana. They already had one successful festival, a smaller one that happened in, I think, Chandler, Indiana, or something like that. And like one of the headliners on that was Ike and Tina Turner. And based on the success of that, they decided to have another bigger festival that would last not just one day, but a whole weekend. And it was slated for Labor Day weekend, 1972, which is September 1st through September 4th. And they got a whole huge roster of bands to play these multiple days. And they sold, I don't know, 20 to 30,000 tickets at $20 a pop in 1972 dollars. But shortly before, like a week before it was supposed to happen, this the town got an injunction to prevent the show. And in fact, they weren't allowed to have the show anywhere in the state of Indiana at all. Almost, I guess, miraculously, they found another spot where they could have the show in a place known as Bull Island, which is near Evansville, Indiana, where they were based, but was actually in Illinois. So it was across the border. But the way the Bull Island is situated is it's really part of Indiana, but the Wabash River, which is normally the dividing point between the states, moved to, sort of curves to the west a little bit and makes a peninsula sort of out of this little area known as Bull Island. Not really an island, but it's still part of Indiana, but it's really mostly only easily accessible without ferry boats at the time by through Illinois. So they decided they're building a stage at the last minute in this place, putting out the word that the show is moved. I'm not sure what they had to do with this, but without spending any money, some DJs in Chicago announced the new site for this festival and started really pumping it up, like every hour, mentioning all the bands that were playing. And that drove more and more people from a wider area to come to the festival. This is a long story, I know.
You know why it's called Bull Island? Because Bull Peninsula sounds dirty.
That's a good point. So the Friday, the 1st, the places in the highway leading to Bull Island, I-64, is inundated with traffic. There's a big traffic jam. People cannot get to the smaller roads leading to the site. So these people, you might call them hippies, they're music enthusiasts in there, just decide to park their cars along the interstate and walk 10, 15, 20 miles to the site. And instead of just ticket holders, instead of just the 20 to 30,000 people expected, 200 to reportedly 300,000 people actually show up. Just like in Woodstock, the gates are crashed and most of the people don't pay. Unlike in Woodstock, the people that were supposed to be documenting it on film, who got hired to film it, never could get through. They didn't trudge their equipment, heavy equipment. This is before iPhones, of course. The equipment is too heavy for them to carry the 20 miles, and they can't hire a helicopter or anything. So there's no documentary made about it. Otherwise, it would probably be maybe a more successful festival in the documentary part of it, just like Woodstock was. Another problem was that the Indiana police didn't bother to go to the site. The promoters only, because it's across a river for one thing. Illinois police had no jurisdiction there, so they didn't bother either. And the security that was hired for a much smaller crowd, and so it was very inadequate security. Not only that, but they didn't drill enough wells for this many people, so there was not enough water for this many people. There was probably not even enough food that the vendors had to sell to these people. The vendors, by the way, were selling hamburgers for reportedly $10 a piece, which in today's money is $63, so that's a lot of money. Some hippies got upset with this and ransacked the vendors' trucks and stole all the food and started throwing it out for free, and even burned some of the food trucks. So it was kind of chaos.
Woodstock 95.
Yeah.
99.
Or 99. It
99.
was more like 99.
99, yeah.
I don't know how this was arranged if it was even arranged by the promoters, but there were a lot of drug dealers there. They even made what they call a drug alley. I saw reports of just a section of the field that was devoted only to people selling their wares. People put out blankets and put prices on little tags, and so you can get all the drugs you wanted, but food was scarce. So if you didn't bring food with you, you might be starving for a few days, unless you happen to get some of the free hamburgers.
I guess drugs are lighter to carry 20 or 30 miles than stuff to make food.
You got drugs, you don't need food. You know.
I read accounts of people just, eating Vienna sausages out of cans, things that they brought to camp. Lots of people brought stuff to camp and were camping.
They ate their children.
Yeah. There weren't enough porta potties, so there was a section near the river that was devoted to, they called it Turd Alley, to going to the bathroom. And people washed in the river. It was very hippie.
We have a lovely house on Turd Alley.
I tried to find home movies because reportedly there are home movies being shot, but I couldn't find any anywhere. If anybody knows of any, let me know.
Are there any photos of the event?
There are plenty of photos. I found a book that has a lot of black and white photos. I don't know if we can put any. Maybe I'll try
What's
to
the book
scan
called?
some. It's called the Bull Island Rock Festival.
It seems a very upbeat cover for what was essentially Lord of the Flies with hippies. But
it was
whatever.
Did all the bands make it?
The person who wrote this was at the festival. The person who wrote this contracted pneumonia in both of his lungs from being at the festival. He didn't consume any of the drugs, but he was like he decided to journal it. This came out only in 2020.
Let's assume that he also got crabs. I think that's a fair assumption.
That
he also got crabs. He got pneumonia and crabs.
Yeah, one of the food trucks.
It rained. Okay, it rained on the second day during Cheech and Chong's performance. They cut their performance. And the performance supposedly was basically ragging on the how sucky the festival was. So they did 15 minutes of ranting.
Dave's not here, man. Yeah, neither is the food.
Okay, but what really got people, the hippies, upset was the no-shows. There was a whole, I don't know how this was expected to turn out, because, okay, here's who did play. Dr. Foghat, I don't know who they are. Albert King, the blues guy, was the second performer. Birtha, an all-female band from Glendale who preceded the Runaways. Mike Quattro, more famous now as being Susie Quattro's brother. Then Joe Cocker was supposed to play. He was the first big no-show, and that got people upset. He was in Evansville, and the rumor was that he already got paid $15,000, but he wanted twice that because of the crowd was so much more. He was expected to only play in front of 20,000, not 300. Although their management says that's not true, that's just a rumor. Really, their management said the stage was not adequate and the security was not adequate, and it was too dangerous for him to perform. So, and that happened to a bunch of other people too. CK Thunder, St. Louis bar band played. Foghat played, but before they had their big hit. Flash, who was an English prog rock band. Brownsville Station also played before they had their big hit. Bob Seger played. Gentle Giant tried to play, but they had technical problems. So they never played. They spent their half hour trying to fix an organ.
Oh, no.
And which organ would that be?
I don't know. Ravi Shankar played. A lot of people remember this as the highlight. Canned Heat played. Black Oak, Arkansas, also another highlight. Ted Nugent played. Rory Gallagher. Boone's Farm, that was the name of a band. Also, a lot of Boone's Farm got consumed. That was a popular wine back then.
Boone's Farm apple wine, yes. Our younger viewers have no idea.
Santana played. They were one of the biggest acts that played. The Eagles played. You might think they were the biggest act, but their first album just came out and they hadn't had any hits from it. So barely anybody
won the Super Bowl.
Barely anybody knew who they were. Yeah, they didn't win. The Doobie Brothers played also before they had a big hit. Nazareth before they had a big hit. And then finally a Philly band that I never heard of called Bang closed the show. Who didn't play? Besides Joe Cocker, Black Sabbath also refused to play, supposedly because they didn't get paid enough for the crowd. The Doors
got to the States. They were actually in the States. Black Sabbath.
It must have been on tour.
I think they were. I'm not sure. The Doors didn't play. They probably weren't even on site. I don't know why they were even on the list because Jim Morrison died in 1971. So why was anybody even expecting the Doors to play?
That would be the best Halloween treat ever.
But they're on the flyer. They're on the flyer.
I broke on through from the other side.
Fleetwood Mac was another no-show. The Allman Brothers were another no-show. Slade, the band that made, I guess, Twisted Sister famous. The Chambers Brothers, and REO Speedwagon did not show up. But the biggest no-show, according to what I've read and according to this book, and I find this sort of hard to believe the hippies would even be this concerned, but this was the band that got everyone pissed. That by the end of the third day, by Labor Day, Rod Stewart and the Faces did not show up. And it's also because, and they were paid $100,000 in advance to play, but their manager said, no, it's too unsafe for Rod to be there after, because everything was going, I mean, they were burning trucks and whatnot. So after.
Hang on, Anton has a question. I hate to interrupt, but Anton has a question. Were they using Rod Stewart as a threat? Like either you hippies settle down and stop burning things, or we'll bring Rod Stewart down.
I don't really know. I was only 10 years old. I don't even know about this back then. I only recently found out. But they burnt the stage down just as Bang were leaving the stage. And I didn't read it, but there's a biography of the band Bang, and this is featured in it. According to the guy who wrote the book that I read. On the way out, now nobody got arrested there because there weren't any police, and barely anybody got arrested. Even they just let the hippies leave. They just wanted to control traffic. That was their basic thing, is to get the people out of there. There were a couple ODs, unfortunately, and deaths and they were only due to the fact that people didn't realize there were medical tents on site, and there were, but there were people that tried to get people out who were ODing, and it didn't work. They didn't work out for them, which is sad. But it's amazing that more people than that weren't hurt. In fact, a woman got ran over while sleeping in a sleeping bag during, I think, right before Cheech and Chong played, or somewhere around there. And she survived. Her vertebrae and ribs were broken, but they were able to take her to Evansville Hospital, and she was repaired. And
but she would have probably broken a rib laughing at Cheech and Chong, because I saw them live before Up and Smoking. They were really funny.
They were probably the highlight of the show.
They were the highlight, yeah. Cheech and Chong were the highlight.
And a lot of people found on the way back to the cars that they were stripped of important parts. Because they were left for 3 or 4 days along the highway. This is according to Dan Davis, author of the book I read. You know, it's a shame the documentary crew wasn't there. Could have been a good thing to witness.
Release it as a horror film.
We do have fire documentary, and we do have documents of Woodstock '99. So
yes, we do. So that is indeed. And thanks for keeping these cool for me, buddy.
Tonight on Channel 57, it's the 1964 classic Werewolf in a Girl's Dormitory, starring Walter Cohen, Nancy Walker, and Jaro. That's tonight, Channel 57.
All right, we're back, and I just want to say, hey, I'm not drunk. You're drunk. Sorry about that.
So the next exhibit is about our friend Phil Spector and his apparent fascination with guns. And this is another part of the Rock and Roll Hall of Weirdness, or what the fuck, or WTF, or what the WTF. So Phil Spector was born, I took some notes. It's the first time I've had to take notes for big questions. He was born December 26, 1939, day after Christmas. Bad start, Phil. He died January 16th, 2021, which I was actually surprised to learn. For some reason, I totally missed that. He died this year. I kind of felt like I knew he was dead, but I didn't realize it was that recently. So you might know Phil Spector as the, self-proclaimed creator of the Wall of Sound. You might ask it, did this Wall of Sound have hanging targets on it? I don't know. But if you're not familiar with the Wall of Sound, you should check out some links that we'll put up, I guess. The basic concept is, to have several of the same instruments playing the same thing, different places, gives it like a really, because they're not all exactly in sync. But anyway, so he kind of was considered a genius. His father committed suicide when Phil was young. I got all this from a book called Tearing Down the Wall of Sound, which is amazing. And I would hold it up right now, but I lent it to my friend, Amy, who I was talking to the other day. We happened to talking about Phil Spector, and I was like, oh. And now I can't cite it, but I think his dad died maybe from carbon monoxide poisoning with like a hose from his car exhaust or whatever. Because at first I thought maybe he shot himself, and I thought maybe there's a connection with the guns in Phil Spector, but I think the other connection was he was beaten up pretty badly by a bunch of guys when he was younger, older than when his dad died, but then he started carrying around a gun to protect himself. So what that has to do with rock and roll is that several times he was known to pull guns on people in the studio. He actually fired it around John Lennon in the control room. And apparently John said something to the effect of, if you're going to shoot, kill me, don't fuck with my ears. So, and Leonard Cohen, they recorded that weird album, Death of the Ladies Man, which there's a couple of pretty good songs on there, but it's pretty weird. Apparently a lot of drinking going on with that. He put the gun up to Leonard Cohen's head and said, "I love you, Leonard." And Leonard Cohen said, "I hope you do, Phil." I like to imagine he said it again, "I hope you do." let's just say that he did. Who else is? Oh, geez, yeah, Debbie Harry. She apparently didn't talk about this until much later after it happened, but I guess it was in the 70s. He invited her to his house and like put his gun in her boot or something, and she was just freaked out by it. The Ramones, he recorded that album End of the Century. He apparently like was using the gun a lot around them, and at one point Dee Dee was tired of it and he started to leave, and Phil Spector pointed the gun at him and was like, "Where do you think you're going?" And Dee Dee was like, "What are you gonna do? Shoot me? Go ahead." And he left. I love that. Oh geez, and of course Ronnie Spector, who became his wife, hence the Spector. You know what? I just realized, Halloween Spector.
Ooh.
She got it the worst. Well, no, I guess the last person on the list got it the worst. But
Yeah,
Ronnie was like locked in a closet at times from him. He was pointing the gun at her a lot. He had apparently a mannequin or like a cardboard cutout or something of himself that would ride shotgun when she would drive around. So people thought that he was in the car with her. The book has a lot more examples of the gun craziness, but the last one was, what is her name? Lana Clarkson. She was apparently at the House of Blues where he was, and she went back to his place, and the driver was apparently waiting in the car outside for like an hour, heard a gunshot, and Phil came out and was like, "I think I shot her." And then, he said, "Oh, we were playing a game, like I accidentally shot her, she kissed the gun or something." A lot of weird stuff, and the book's amazing because he started writing it before the murder happened, and then he continued to write it, and he wrote it up until I think he was sentenced in like 2009. I think he died in jail. I think he may have had COVID too.
Oh, the book was written by Phil?
No, I can't remember the guy's
Phil couldn't
name.
write a book. You can't write a book with a gun. You can boom, boom, boom. You can do the periods, the punctuation.
Besides his influence in production ideas and stuff, and just in general, like recording, like his hair is an inspiration in the later years of his life. It's completely crazy. I would say I aspire to that, but I don't because he looks like if we can get a picture, if I can find it, I'll send it to you. It's crazy. Or he's in court. The hair is like
a wig. It's a wig too. It's not his real hair. That's a wig.
Oh, because later I see that he's completely bald here. And it was like a year later. I was like, how did he lose all that? But anyway, still, he's an interesting guy. He's a murderer, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
And that's the thing. The book is like saying that there's a lot of evidence that says maybe this was an accident, but what I got out of it was you fuck around with guns a whole bunch and then somebody dies from a gun and you're the only ones there, it's not going to look good.
Even if you're Alec Baldwin, you're just on the set with it. Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, Dan, you want some extra weirdness? This is one of the few things where I definitely met one of the participants, and I may have met one of the others. Vienna, I'll tell the story the way Vienna tells it. I usually tell it a little differently, but I'm going to tell it. This is so I don't upset my wife, who tells it this way. We were at a conference once, Vienna and I, where Phil Spector was speaking. This is back before he was killing anybody. And Vienna says that I was rounding a corner and Phil Spector was rounding a corner. Vienna says I steered her into him, and I'm just going to agree with her. I'm just going to say, just for the sake of a happy marriage, my wife was right. And yeah, I probably, was, oh, come this way, boom. And she smacked right in to Phil Spector. And yeah, so that was like a running, but also we were once at a private function at the House of Blues, and Lana Clarkson was the hostess at the House of Blues, and we think she may have been the hostess that night. So it's a weird thing where normally you might meet one, you might meet the other, but actually we think we have met both of the people in the tale of Phil and Lana Clarkson.
Wow, that's cool. Good addendum there.
Yeah. Well, Anton reminded me to tell you that story. He loves that.
Is he drinking back there?
He's been pounding them all night, and then he's like, he keeps going, you're drunk. I'm like,
he's nursing that current one though. He's not really. He's just kind of.
You don't know. You every now and then I move my head over and grab one with his other hand. All right, we should move on to Dean because I know Dean's is super weird, and these are good Halloween. This is a good Halloween chat.
So my entry for the Rock and Roll Museum of What the Fuck, I will tell the tale of the mysterious death of Iron Butterfly's bass player, Philip Taylor Kramer. So just to give you some background, the band Iron Butterfly started in San Diego in 1966. And they had a surprising hit song in 1968 called In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, which apparently is supposed to be related to the phrase in the Garden of Eden, but the person who wrote it was so drunk that and was singing the phrase that it came out of as In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. The hit song is surprising because it took up side 2 of their LP. It was like 17 minutes long. It's got like a 2 or 3 minute drum solo in the middle of it. So, you know, they did rate like radio edits. There was a single version, but it was a big hit. Probably their only big hit. They released 6 LPs, and they kept touring. In fact, up until this year or last year, they were still touring, but they have had over 60 band members over the years. And at this point, there's no original band members anymore. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's over 60 band members. One of those band members was named Philip Taylor Kramer, and he joined in 1974, and he lasted until 1977. He was a bass player. He played on 2 of the LPs that they released. After leaving the band in 1977, he did some other musical stuff, but he acquired a degree in aerospace engineering. He was a really smart, bright guy. And he worked on like missile guidance systems for the Department of Defense. And after that, he worked in the computer industry, and he started a company with Randy Jackson. Yes, that Randy Jackson. Okay. And the company was called Total Multimedia. And they were famous for developing one of the first video compression algorithms for video on CD-ROMs. So this guy was a bright guy. But in 1994, the company was struggling and dealing with bankruptcy and new executive leadership. And at the time of the incident that I'm going to talk about, Kramer was not sleeping and really stressed out about the business. So he was, acting a little strange. I found this odd. One of the last things he was said to be working on was a transmission project that he claimed would result in faster than light speed communications. There's a strange line in the Wikipedia entry about this that says, and I'm going to quote it if I can, that this was, quote, related to his father's long-running family effort to discredit Albert Einstein's theories. Okay? This is
what a weird family feud that is.
Yeah, really. I don't know what his dad was named Ray and had this thing against Albert Einstein. So anyway, what happened was he, on the day of his disappearance in 1995, he was headed to the airport to pick up a business associate who actually had been one of the principal investors in Total Multimedia and was also a principal instigator in the bankruptcy and reorganization. He went to the airport, but he left before meeting this person. So during travel to the airport and elsewhere, he made a lot of cell phone calls. Now remember, this is 1995 cell phones. Yeah, big ones. He called his wife. He called a guy named Ron Bushy, who's the drummer and one of the founders of Iron Butterfly. Apparently, they were still really good friends. But he also called the police. And in the call to the police, he said, and I quote, "I'm going to kill myself, and I want everyone to know O.J. Simpson is innocent. They did it," end quote. And this is supposedly in reference to video evidence in which Taylor was just hired just before his disappearance to analyze the authenticity of the videotape that the FBI and DEA had on the O.J. Simpson murder trial. So there's that. He disappeared that day and he was never heard from again. His disappearance was featured on many TV shows in the late 90s. There was lots of news articles about it. All kinds of speculation about what happened to him. It was finally solved in May 29th of 1999. Kramer's Ford Aerostar minivan and skeletal remains were found by photographers looking for old car wrecks in a canyon near Malibu, California.
Suspicious.
Yeah.
There's an episode of Futurama where they find skeletons in an old hippie van.
Yeah. His father never believed he killed himself and is quoted as saying, "Taylor had told me a long time before there were people bothering him. They wanted what he was doing and some of them threatened him. He once told me that if I ever say I'm going to kill myself, don't you believe it one bit. I'll be needing help."
Whoa.
So that's how the story ends.
But his father's hobby was trying to discredit Einstein. I will say for one thing, ever since this happened, O.J. Simpson has been searching for them on every golf course in America. I can't believe them got away with this.
So yeah, that's one weird story.
Van Morrison's first band, wasn't it?
Yeah. Good Halloween. Good Halloween, guys. Good Halloween episode. Very happy with that. All right, I'm getting to it. Okay, is it time for recommendations?
It is.
All right, so as you know, I like to recommend very, very scary music for this time of year, and I have found something really, truly frightening and well done. It is a cover of the song Spiritual Cramp, which you know is by Christian Death, and it's by a band called Said the Whale, and it's off of their new album, Embracing Satan. Just kidding. Anthony Zerbe School of Acting. Actually, what I'm recommending is a group that calls themselves SubGoth /ECR. They're fantastic. I have friends in this part of the SubGoth squad. And they have an album called Lament Configurations From Hell We Rise. And it's retakes on sort of the themes that you would hear in sort of classic horror movies. There's a little bit of, I think, like The Witch in there. There's Damon does a take on the Christine theme. It is perfect. You can get it for like $1, and we'll put up the link. It is perfect Halloween music. It is one of my. I'm so happy that somebody told me about it, and I checked it out, and it is great. It's a great thing to blast at Halloween. Please go find this and blast it. Now I'm going to give you 2 things. That was for your ears. 2 things quick for your eyes. Normally I just do 1, but it's Halloween. The first one is called A Black People's History of Halloween and Haunts. You may have not noticed this, but I'm a honky. And I love Halloween, and I love it when I see a different take on Halloween. And this is a fantastic, a group of people who love, people who love Halloween, but also love it for a different reason than I do. And this is one of the smartest little videos. It's about at least a half hour long that I've seen on the web in years. It's brilliant. It talks about the African-American love of Halloween, how it came about. There's a whole thing called Haint Blue, which is a type of blue that you see in Appalachia and in the South. And it talks about how that actually came from Africa, where blue bottles were hung in trees to ward off spirits, and white Southerners saw it and they said, we're going to adopt that blue color to ward off spirits. It follows this whole incredible thing. There's an amazing thing about Devil's Night in Detroit and how that was played up and made sort of ridiculous back in the age of when they used to talk about super predators and stuff like that. You really need to see this. Please, people, go see it. And if you love it as much as I do, please leave a favorable comment, because somebody put a whole lot of work into this. And there's a whole lot of stuff in there about different candies or different treats that would piss today's kids off. So it's excellent. And then that's for your mind and a little educational, just for fun. There's a season of, now you know about American Horror Stories, or American Horror Story. This is American Horror Stories. These are like little one-offs. And it's absolutely amazing. You can watch them on Hulu. Fantastic. I heavily recommend the episodes, The Naughty List, which is Danny Trejo as Santa, so you know it's going to be good. Wow. It is, and Bro House. It is absolutely amazing. And there's an episode called Farrell that is pitch perfect. Vienna absolutely loved it. So there you go. Please see A Black People's History of Halloween and Haunts. Absolutely brilliant. Really well done. And also American Horror Story. And then go find the Lament configurations from Hell We Rise and blast that loudly this Halloween. Scare the shit out of your neighbors.
I'd like to recommend for your mouth a libation, a very black stout. I'm almost finished drinking it now, but there's plenty more at the Conshohocken brew pub. It's an oatmeal stout called Oats McGoats, and it's delicious. And I think you can only get it in Pennsylvania. So if you're in Pennsylvania, you can order it by mail and get it UPS delivered, or you can go to Conshohocken or a grocery store in the area. I like it. Oh, and if you want to know anything more about the Bull Island Festival, only if you want to know anything more, I will recommend this book by Dan Davis.
I'm going to add a little recommendation to my theme too. There's a song. I think it's the Crystals, and it's called "He Hit Me and It Felt Like a Kiss."
Oh yeah.
And that was one of Phil Spector's production jobs, and it's actually a really catchy song, but it's disturbing.
Katie Lang used to cover it. Yeah,
it's really cool, but you don't want it to be. I don't know if that might play into, and he wrote the lyrics to that too. He also wrote, his first hit was called "To Know Him Is to Love Him," and that's a catchy song. It seems ironic for him, but I think that it's on his dad's tombstone too.
If you want to do a creepy Ike Turner type pairing pair, He Hit Me and It Felt Like a Kiss with Johnny Get Angry, Johnny Get Mad, and that's a super disturbing combo. Yeah, you'll be up all night.
I usually am. So there's that, and I also wanted to recommend to jump off of what Rodney was saying about Halloween music. I mean, it's kind of cliche for Psycho music, but the Psycho Prelude, it's a minute and a half long. It's fucking incredible. I'm sorry, I've listened to that like every Halloween all my life, and it never ceases to amaze me. I hear something different in it every time. It's all just strings, and sometimes it sounds like it's blood dripping and with the syncopated plucks and stuff. But what I really wanted to recommend, there's no specific channel for it that I could find, but if you have ever seen any recut movie trailers, I'll give a link for at least one of them, but I got to give you this list because they're all amazing. The Shining, Elf, Mary Poppins, Willy Wonka, It, Alien, Dumb and Dumber, Mrs. Doubtfire, Ferris Bueller, and what might be the best one, Step Brothers.
Is that the one where they take The Shining and they do it as a like a sort of comedy? Like Jack Torrance.
It's got that like Rusted Root song in the back, and it's like, Danny's looking for a father.
I thought that was the one that had Boom Boom Boom, the Peter Gabriel song. Boom,
oh,
boom,
maybe
boom.
that's what it is. Yeah, I always get those two songs mixed up because like they're the same thing. Step Brothers, so it's just, I don't know. It's every whatever genre of the movie that I listed, it's the kind of like polar opposite, and it's recut with music and editing, and it's brilliant. I wish there was just like a channel. There might be. I don't know. So yeah, that's what I recommend.
You know what I hear every time I hear that beginning of Psycho? I hear a voice go, "OJ is innocent." Dean's got recommendations.
All right, I got two tonight. One is for your eyes and ears. It's a new video on YouTube for a song called Land of the Blind by a band I've mentioned here before called Yard Act. They have a new album coming out, and their new video, I guess it's a single, it's called Land of the Blind. It's in black and white. It's a hilarious little video. I recommend you check that out. And the other thing I would like to recommend is for your taste buds. I've been really getting into goldfish pretzels.
Oh yeah.
They're a little hard to find sometimes, but when I find them, I buy a couple of bags just to have around the house.
Oh, dude, they have a big.
I have never seen the big carton of them. I've only seen these little bags. So I recommend you check them out. They're like the perfect little snack pretzel.
Why has the goldfish got sunglasses? Is he from the land of the blind?
He's a pretzel now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I always wondered why cartoons of the sun have sunglasses.
That's a good question. Pepperidge Farm, remember? That would be good. Why isn't that in a horror movie? Why isn't there a Pepperidge Farm horror movie? Look, people, we're going out on Halloween by saying, make a Pepperidge Farm horror movie. It's so creepy. It'll be like somebody's in the general store, and the guy's like, maybe they
We've run out of Milano cookies.
Yeah, well, how could anybody know we killed his granddaughter? And the guy turns around, Pepperidge Farm, remember? Just saying.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween. Look at this disturbing stuffed animal. This was given to my children when they were little for comfort. It's just disturbing. I can't even tell you what kind of animal this is.
Oh, by the way, get well soon, Charles Levi. Please feel better. Okay, goodbye, everybody. Guys.
Channel 57, WGMA, Pope, Arkansas.